lucky day. You're the listener to the 19th episode of the podcast called The Island Shuffle. Now, James, tell our lovely viewers what they've won today.
You've won entertainment.
Yes.
For free.
For free on your phone or tablet or whatever device you choose.
It has to be electronic.
Yes. Don't listen to this on cassette. Do cassettes count as electronic?
Yeah.
Okay. What
I
about,
think it all does.
does wax count as electronic to vinyl?
Yeah, that's analog, not digital, but still you need electricity to make that shit
You
work.
know, you're not wrong. You make a good point. This is an episode where we talk about analog electronics and their evolution into digital.
Exactly. Welcome to the show.
Well, if you ask me, Napster really had an impact on the music industry.
I disagree entirely.
That's interesting. No.
Thank you for
Thanks
joining us.
Thank you. That's the whole show. In reality, we watched the television show Lost, and we let the Lord above decide what order we watch the episodes in. And why we do this is for fun and for profit, so that we can
mostly for profit.
so that we can bamboozle ourselves and others, mostly. And this week we got bamboozled a bit.
We got fucking bamboozled.
Mhm.
We finally got season 5.
Season 5. This is the only season we haven't watched at all yet, and now it's off the list. We never have to watch it again except for the rest of it.
I hope not.
No,
we will.
We will. This is season 5, episode 16, The Incident, Part 1.
Part 1. It's the finale for season 5.
Yes, and it's not even the whole finale. It's just the start of it. I don't even know where to start with this one. It's season 5, baby. We've never done it before. You never really watched season 5?
That's the interesting thing about this episode is I got to watch everything that has like built up over season 5 sort of start to fall down.
Yep.
And I have no fucking clue
Yep.
what it is that they built up. So they're back in time.
Yes. Give me your everything on Island. Give me your brief synopsis of what the hell. Give me your best guess at what the hell is actually going on here.
All right, so the gang traveled back in time. Well, most of the gang did.
Yep.
John Locke and some other people didn't travel back in time for some reason.
Yep.
But the gang that did there's two separate ones. There's the people who are sort of happy to live on the island and then decide to leave the island or something.
Yep.
And that's like Sawyer, Juliet, Kate,
Yes.
Bernard, and Rose.
Yep.
And then there's the gang that's trying to blow up the island with a hydrogen bomb.
You know.
That is Hurley, Jack, Saeed, Jin.
Yes.
Maybe some other guy.
Some other guys. It's not important. You get the gist of it.
While this is going on, the Dharma Initiative is like in full force and
Yep.
doing their thing, and they're just occupying the island.
Yes. These are Dharma times, baby. They built all those hatches, like the Swan,
The Swan,
the others. There's others, I'm sure. I can't remember any of them.
the Spider,
The jigsaw puzzle.
the Rabbit,
The cold.
the Cold Hard Truth is what the last one was called.
Yes.
And it's the Big Sleep.
Whoa, God. The most morbid station of all. Their morgue station.
You sleep for like 3 days in that station.
Hibernation station.
But that's pretty much all I understand that's going on. So Jack is trying to blow up the island.
Yes. You got the gist of it. I mean, that's pretty much the deal.
It was very weird. And the thing that they're doing here though is they're constantly interjecting into the show the Jacob character.
Yes.
And trying to make him the focal point of the show.
That's true.
Which I think is garbage, but whatever.
That is fair. I don't necessarily disagree. What I will say in defense of okay, so let's start with we're talking big macro. Let's get a little micro. Let's talk about the Jacob stuff. So the first scene of the episode is we see Buddy weaving on a loom, and it's Jacob, and we know it's Jacob because we've seen Jacob. But here's the thing: up until this point, so for the audience at home, the audience who watches the show like a normal person, Jacob is something that's been alluded to. Ben has alluded to Jacob. Richard has alluded to Jacob. Others have. Locke probably. And it's one of those things that if you're watching the show, you're thinking, fucking Jacob, whatever. They're blowing smoke out of their ass. They don't know what they're.
So Jacob up to this episode has not appeared on screen.
No, not at all.
Wow.
And this episode opens up,
Wow.
and it's bing bang. Here he is, fuckers. You thought we weren't kidding around, but here he is. And so that's fine, I guess. Knowing that Jacob sucks makes it a lot less impactful for sure.
That's fucking weird.
It's pretty weird, eh? That whole scene is basically he goes fishing, and then the fella in the black shirt comes out, and they have a cryptic conversation about how they're in a conflict and how one of them wants to kill the other, and he can't. But people come to the island, and it's always the same, but it only ends once. And philosophy 101 basics.
101, 102.
Yeah, and then they go off. And then the rest of the flashbacks are basically we see like different characters at pivotal points in their lives. And Jacob shows up and says, "Hey, I'm here." Boop. And the audience is supposed to go, "Wow, this Jacob boy, he was pulling the strings the whole time."
What? Jacob's here?
He's the one. He's why they're all there.
Jacob has arrived.
I can't wait to watch next season and learn all about this Jacob guy.
It will be so good.
It'll be so good.
Oh, it's so good.
It isn't. As we know, it is bad.
You wanted to learn about Jacob? Boom. You get a shitty temple instead.
You get a shitty temple instead. You get a philosophy argument that gets broken down in an instant by Shitty Richard. You get a lot. Yeah, it's not good. And like you've mentioned the main problem with this. So like we see young Kate stealing a lunchbox.
Yeah.
And
the flashbacks are like they don't focus around one character in this episode.
Exactly. It jumps around. We see Kate stealing a lunchbox, always a criminal.
Yeah.
And
she's like 6 in here, and she's a criminal for some reason.
Yeah,
even though they had previously established that was completely unlike her.
But you see, who should interfere? God, that was gross. Who should interfere? Buddy catches him and says, "You're gonna go to jail." But who interferes but Jacob, who says, "I'll pay for the lunchbox. Hey, you, don't steal anymore. Promise?" Okay. And it's Jacob, and that's that.
That scene was hilarious because the shopkeeper catches Kate stealing, and then he's like, "I'm going to phone your mother, and then I'm going to phone the police because we don't tolerate theft around here." And then Jacob is like, "I'll pay for the lunchbox." And then the shopkeeper's like, "Well, I guess if someone pays for it, no harm done, right?"
They do things like they do things a little differently in Iowa, you know?
I guess so. If that is enough to brush off for your show, in terms of like sound moral reasoning, then maybe your show shouldn't be based around like philosophical or like heaven and hell style questions if you obviously can't even handle basic like scenarios.
You know, that's a great point. That's a hard lesson that they don't learn quite yet.
They just
ever maybe.
If there's no consistency in the way that you treat like a 6-year-old stealing a lunchbox, then maybe the devil is a little bit too much for you to take on.
If you think about it, a 6-year-old stealing a lunchbox is a lot like murdering God.
True.
It's pretty much the same thing.
True.
It's a lot like murder. We also see Sawyer at his parents' funeral, and he starts to write a letter that will go on to be of importance. And his pen runs dry, and Jacob gives him a pen. And the other one we see is, I think, Sun and Jin get married, and it's just nice. It's like they're just getting married, and they're saying their vows to each other, and it's charming. And then Jacob just kind of like greets them in Korean, and his Korean's great. And I think that's all the Jacob flashbacks that we see.
There was also this lady that I've never seen before.
Some lady that we've never seen before.
So off. Like, it was uninteresting.
Doesn't matter.
She was in the hospital. She was really injured. Do I have any idea who the fuck she is? No. I've never seen this lady before in my entire career watching the show Lost.
Nope. Here's what I like about these flashbacks.
Nothing.
I have one thing.
Sorry.
I have one thing, and that's that they are nice little breaks in an episode that is mostly insane.
Yeah, that's true.
It's an episode that in an episode that's mostly insane. It goes on and says, "Hey, remember when little Katie stole a lunchbox? Hey, remember when Sun and Jin got married? Remember these guys? Remember when before things got all crazy?"
That's actually interesting too,
Mhm.
because I actually could have, like, in hindsight, I could have dealt a bit more with their, like, I guess, like, they've been doing flashbacks and it's just one character's story, and that's
Exactly.
great.
Yeah.
But it seems like sometimes in the worst flashback episodes, they
Yes.
would have been much better off to do, like, little
Mhm.
snippets of people's lives, and you can just get a scene, and that's all you really need.
I
Whereas I don't really need Saeed falling in love with a lady and then killing her.
That's another thing that happens, by the way, is that Saeed and his girlfriend.
Oh yeah, that's
Are
the other
they're
flashback. We forgot.
Yeah, we
that
forgot
one.
it. Saeed and his girlfriend are crossing the street, and then Jacob's like, "Hey, can you give me directions, buddy?" And Saeed's girlfriend walks into the street and gets hit by a car and dies.
I like how in this whole flashbacks thing
Yeah.
of Jacob finding people, it's like
Yeah.
he gives Sawyer a pen.
Mhm.
He buys Kate a lunchbox. He congratulates Sun and Jin on their wedding.
Yeah.
He kills Saeed's girlfriend.
Why can't Saeed have anything
He
nice?
kills Saeed's girlfriend. The 3 love interests that I've ever seen Saeed have in the show all die
Yes.
very, very quickly.
Yes, they do.
Why?
Because Saeed can't have anything nice because he's a torturer.
That's so weird.
It's bad. It's
It
a
is
bad
bad,
stance to
yeah.
have. It's a bad way to write that character for sure. But yeah, and like the other thing about them is like as like nice as it is to be like, oh yeah, just the characters being characters. Along comes this guy we've never seen before, Jacob, and it's just like we're supposed to be like, whoa.
Hey.
You mean he was just off camera the whole time?
Yeah,
He's like-
exactly.
He's like Nikki and Paolo, but a god. So
They keep fucking doing that, and
They
it
keep
never works, and it always sucks, and I hate it forever.
it ain't no good. Yeah, it's bad.
It's not great.
So I don't hate it, but I don't love it.
I hate it. I
d-
definitely hate it.
I do. It is tainted by what we know Jacob to become, for sure. It is. My opinion of it, in retrospect, is lessened greatly.
I'm interested to see more of what Jacob will become, because we've only watched what
We wa-
2 season 6 episodes, 2 or maybe 3, but I think he was
Yeah.
only in one of them.
Yeah, he was only in one of them, and in that one, he played a pretty big role.
Yeah. It was sort of about him.
And I kind of like, to be honest, I kind of forget how a lot of his stuff shakes out in the season 6. And you know why that might be? Because maybe it's kind of boring as shit.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Honestly, he's boring. What?
Yeah, he should be more interesting.
It's such a fucked thing that they just did in the
Mhm.
later seasons. Is they thought that they could make a show where the ideas are what's exciting about the show.
Yeah.
So the dialogue and the character, like interestingness of a character, for lack
Yeah.
of a better term, like just the humanity of a character doesn't
Yeah.
need to be there.
Exactly.
Everyone just sort of represents something. Like Jacob represents God, so all of a sudden he's interesting. But
Yep.
that's not what is interesting
That's
about
true.
things like that. It's like
Yeah.
he needs to be more than you saying he's God. He needs to have some aspect of humanity. He needs
Yeah.
to like have some sort of character development.
Exactly. He needs to have some kind of arc, and he never really gets that. And he's just like floats through, and all the characters kind of become that throughout. And that's kind of why I like the flashbacks in that, because it's kind of one of the last times we get a glimpse of like where everyone's like doing these big plots and
Yeah.
such, but like Jin's got to pull his vows out of his shirt because he wrote them down. Sawyer's got Kate's pulling off a heist. Oh boy, characters just being themselves, you know.
I like how the Sawyer one is. Sawyer's got to write a letter to like the man who's responsible for his parents' deaths.
Yep, just people things that
Yeah.
you do.
Just a fun little romp back in time.
Yeah, just remember that. Remember those days.
That's actually so fucked that so they are 30 years back in time.
Yes.
So, especially with the Kate and Sawyer ones, well, they are back in time. Those things like Sawyer's parents being killed
Yes.
and Kate stealing a lunchbox
Yes.
are all going on
Yeah.
basically right at that time.
Pretty much. It's pretty fucked. It's pretty crazy that they went back in time.
Yeah,
Huh? It's really insane.
that was a weird call.
I think it was a weird call. I don't, maybe it was a bad call, but I admire how bananas it is. Because I think what you get out of it is you get them spending time among the Dharma Initiative.
Uh-huh.
So you get a glimpse into that whole world.
Uh-huh.
You get, and beyond that, you just get some really insane, bizarre shit out
Yeah.
of it. You have Saeed. Remember how Saeed shot a kid? That was alluded to.
It was alluded to. I have that written down. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's up with Saeed shooting a kid?
The kid is Benjamin Linus,
No fucking way.
and Saeed decides it's worth it to murder this kid if I can prevent him from becoming Benjamin Linus.
Wow. But he didn't get killed, did he?
He did not succeed in the murder. No.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Saeed can kill all of his lovers and no children.
No children.
You think it would be easier to kill a kid
Yes.
because their lungs are so small and
Yes.
their hearts they're barely beating to begin with.
You've thought about this a lot, haven't you?
Yeah, their brains, you could just crush them in your fist.
Oh my god. This is a bad bit. This is a rough bit to hear and to think about.
Welcome to this episode of Could You Kill a Kid? Okay, dropping it.
Okay. So the gang's in the past. And Jack and Saeed have hatched this crazy scheme.
Uh-huh.
They're gonna blow up a hydrogen bomb.
And that's, I like how it's not really explained further.
No, not really.
They're like, we'll just blow up a hydrogen bomb and it will stop the island from being a mystical island, I guess?
yes. The grander picture that we don't get in here, so it's really funny to see them with no context just being like, they're gonna blow up a bomb.
Yeah.
And them just being like, we gotta blow up this bomb. We've just gotta do it.
Time to take the bomb to the bomb spot.
Time to-
Blowing up the bomb.
Time to blow up the bomb.
Saeed got shot. Who cares? Let's go blow up the bomb.
Doesn't matter. We gotta blow up the bomb. The context, if you'd care to have it,
Uh-huh.
is that they are taking the bomb to that drill site that will eventually become the hatch where the button is. The same hatch.
What's the button hatch?
The same button hatch that we will eventually learn causes the crash of Flight 815.
Really?
So their intent.
That's sort of interesting.
Yeah. So their intent is to just prevent the flight from crashing.
Wow.
So, like, that's fucking insane. I appreciate that they went back in time and then they just went full tilt. Like, fuck it. What if we just erase the show? What's that gonna be like?
Honestly, if someone could, like, I feel like if I could go back in time 30 years
Yeah.
and I saw a kid who was J.J. Abrams, like, do you kill him to erase Lost from happening?
Well, then we don't get The Force Awakens.
Someone else could have done it. There is no way we don't get Star Wars every year for the next 100 years at
Look,
this point.
Not without JJ. JJ was the tinder that set off that dynamite box.
Disney was like, finally, J.J. Abrams has been like a Hollywood stalwart for 15 years, and we can let him direct the reboot of Star Wars.
At long last, it's about
Now that
time.
we've killed George Lucas, we buried him under a pile of money.
I don't know why I like got why I did like a at that pleasant image. I guess
Just that money one.
Mhm.
That'd be so smelly. all that
It's
money.
it's not pleasant. The more I think about it,
Yeah.
it'd be rough.
Could you imagine this whole room full of money? And just
Uh,
for
I'm-
listeners' context, we're in a cathedral.
Yeah, we're in a cathedral, as you can tell from our echo.
There's harmonized echoes here.
Yeah, well, I mean, they just built it that way, so that the choir people didn't have to harmonize with themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So this is a television show called Lost, where people go back in time and blow up a bomb to try to stop a plane from crashing. You know, the
Oh
television
my
show
fucking God.
Lost.
What else happened? That sort of is the
That's-
rundown of the
that's-
interesting things that happen.
That's the main like core of what's going on with Saeed and Jack and that whole gang. They're on their way to do that. Meanwhile, as you said earlier, Sawyer and Juliet and Kate, they're on their way off, and and Sawyer and Juliet are like, you know what? They want to blow up, or at least Sawyer's like, oh, Jack's gonna blow up a bomb. Good for Jack. I don't give a heck. I'm getting off this island. I'm living my damn life finally.
Good for you, Sawyer.
Yeah, honestly, not a bad play. But Juliet has a change of heart, and they eventually hijack it out of there. They get their way off of the sub, and they go up onto the shore. And who should come out of the shore?
Vincent.
Vincent the doggy.
Vincent the dog. Haven't
Vincent the
seen
dog.
in years. Everybody loves the dog and
He's a
his
dog,
gears. He
he's a
has
dog.
gears
Golden
inside.
retriever.
He's a machine.
Got a good
Oil
heart
him
and
up.
a big nose
Make
too.
him so clean.
The sensuousness with which you said "make him so clean" really
So
fucking
clean.
really threw me off my game. Oh God. Okay. So not only Vincent comes out,
Yeah.
but the wisest man of the island himself, saver of marriages, Bernard. Bernard Avenue comes out.
Bernard.
And his wife Rose, and they're like,
Rose.
oh, they come out and they're like, these guys, what the heck? And they're like, well, we haven't seen you in a dog's age. Where have you guys have just been
That's
living
scary.
out here for however long it's been? And they're just like, yeah, we're happy out here. We're just living, puttering about, doing our own thing. And they explain like, well, Jack's gonna blow up the whole fucking island, so are you sure you want to stay here? And they're just like, we don't really care about that. You guys you crazy guys and your bombs and your guns and all that.
It
We're
was
happy.
sick.
We're happy living out here.
Rose just laid down so much wisdom there, and it was
Yeah.
so great.
It's
She's
good.
like, we traveled 30 years back in time, and you guys are still finding a reason to shoot guns at each other.
There's a really good line where like Kate, like when Kate first says like Jack has a bomb. He's going to blow up a hydrogen bomb. Rose literally, without missing a beat, just says, who cares?
It is incredible. That's the
good.
best scene of the episode, no doubt.
Definitely.
Top 10 scenes in all of Lost.
Absolutely. Definitely a
And
fantastic scene.
Bernard is just doing weird shit,
He's-
like bad body language.
Bernard forgot how to act.
It's really incredible. It's like he gave up.
He's
And
like,
he's just like, or it's like he's fucking with the audience. He's just tossing out these
Yeah.
weird, like, glares at people for
There's-
no
there's
reason.
a really like everybody's like saying their goodbyes. They're like they're like, well, you know, best of luck to you out here. They're shaking hands. They're saying goodbye. They're on their way out, and as they're leaving, Bernard says, "You sure you don't want any tea?" And Juliet looks back, and is like, not sure what to do, and just eventually says, "Maybe some other time," and walks away. And Bernard gives her a look that I don't
Really a
understand.
death glare.
I-
Might be. He,
Yeah.
like, lifts up his chin a little bit and is looking at the side of his face. And, like, there's a sort of a frown on his face, and he's wrinkly, and he's got a beard, and his hair is scraggly, and he lives in the woods, and he has a wife, and they decided to stay on the island.
Yeah.
And it's 30 years back in time,
Yeah.
and his wife used to have cancer, but now she doesn't because of the island. They were on a plane, and the plane crashed.
You got it.
Sorry, I got carried away.
Bernard overtook you there.
I know, but it was fucked. It was a weird look.
It was a weird look in a scene that was already insane in a really good way.
Yeah, it was a good scene.
It was
I
a
liked
great
that scene.
scene.
But it was just like
Yeah.
it was a funny comic relief scene.
The episode ends with the boys. Basically, what ends up happening on Jack and Saeed's side, they have the bomb, and they've managed to sneak up and infiltrate into the village with the yellow houses that we've seen so much
Uh-huh.
of. At this point, it's fully Dharma zone, and there's sirens blaring. Everyone's like, evacuate, evacuate, evacuate. People are hustling, bustling, and they're like, we've got uniforms. We're hiding in plain sight. We're going to just walk through and go to our destination, which is the drill site that we mentioned earlier.
Uh-huh.
And they're going. But just when you think they're free, who should confront them but Benjamin Linus's dad, who says, "You're the guy who shot my kid," to Saeed, and shoots him promptly in the chest. And
Fair.
and in response, Jack unloads a full clip onto nobody.
That's actually really incredible because there's people everywhere.
There's so many people.
You would think you'd have to try not to shoot a single person in that scenario.
But he just doesn't hit anybody. And also is fine with the casual murder. I guess he's about to erase everything that just happened, so sure, but like he's super duper callously, without even hesitating, unloads a full clip, reloads, and keeps shooting.
He tries to kill everybody.
Hey, remember when we had to grapple with like the weight of murder on your soul? Remember when that happened?
Barely.
Remember when like Kate spends her whole lifetime trying to
Uh-huh.
reconcile with how she has murder in her heart?
Uh-huh.
Well, here's Jack just gonna unload a full clip into a bunch of innocent lives.
Yeah, literally trying to kill like tens of people.
Yes.
Well, like all that really happened was a mad dad shot Saeed because Saeed shot that dad's kid.
And I understand the gut reaction of being scared for your friend Saeed and scared that the bomb he's carrying is going to detonate, I guess.
But Jack does not do that.
Jack does not do that. Jack is full tilt bananas in this episode.
Yeah, Jack sucks in this episode.
Jack's really on one.
Yeah.
He's on one in a bad way. So they're having a shootout and everything's hectic, but a van comes up and rescues them, and it's driven by Hurley, and it has Jin and Miles in it too. And everybody's screaming at each other,
Oh,
and
yeah,
they're like, "Is Saeed gonna be okay? Oh, I just gotta drive to the site. You gotta get there. Hurley, hold on to Saeed's bandages." It's a lot like the first scene in Reservoir Dogs, except it sucks and it's insane.
Uh-huh. That's a
and,
good movie.
except for parts of it.
I haven't seen it in like probably 5 years.
I definitely
now.
remember it being good, and then I like rewatched it, and I was like, this has all the problems of Tarantino-y stuff.
Really? Yeah.
We don't have
yeah.
to, nobody wants
Yeah,
to.
we won't delve into it. Maybe I'll rewatch it.
The
now.
last thing anybody wants to hear is anybody's opinion on Tarantino movies.
That's completely true.
So they're driving along, and then Hurley hits the brakes because who's in front of them but the submarine crew? Sawyer, Juliet, and, of course, Kate. And they're there to stop him from blowing up the bomb. And bam, that's where the episode ends. And the finale would continue to go on next week. And we would find out if we were watching it like normal people. But we don't.
We'll find out one day.
We'll find out eventually.
Probably a year from now.
And we'll be like, what the heck? And it'll be great.
It's sort of fun that this endeavor is a slightly over 2-year process.
Yeah, every time I stare down the barrel of how many episodes we have left, we almost have only 100 episodes left.
Uh-huh.
That's
But we are 1/6 of the way.
We're 1/6 of the damn way. We're almost a season's worth done.
I feel like I'm really gonna hate it at the end.
I really am worried about what's gonna happen once it's we actually have when the picture starts to actually be complete.
Exactly.
And then it's just well, there's no joy to watching a season 6 episode anymore. It's just gonna suck shit.
Exactly. It's like we're not putting together a piece of the puzzle or anything.
Mhm.
We're not I'm not comprehending anything new because
No.
after you know what happens at the end of a storyline,
Yeah,
the thing that happens in the middle of it loses a bit of significance.
that's true. For instance, when we know that Jacob sucks, his reveal here has a lot less impact.
He sucks.
He just sucks.
Yeah, no, so that's exactly it.
This-
I am too scared that
Which is, I think. Sorry, go on.
I'm just scared that probably around episode 60 I will lose all joy.
Yeah, that is a distinct possibility. But I also think this is part of the exercise for me.
Uh-huh.
Is that lost kind of runs on potential energy, as I've mentioned
Uh-huh.
before. It's a lot of like, this is gonna be a cool thing,
That's
and
completely it.
and knowing how flat it falls at the end, and just like completely taking the bottom out from all of that energy.
And then you
and then
can
wh-
analyze what actually took place.
Yeah, you can really like see it for what it is, which
because
is a weird ass show.
That's completely true because if I had just watched this episode and I was like, and I had just been watching it continually, I would be like, the like hydrogen bomb thing is sort of weird.
Yeah, you'd be
especially
like,
since they're gearing up for another season after this.
Yep.
The time travel thing is sort of weird, but the Jacob character is like has interesting things attached to that
Yes.
idea, even
Mhm.
if I wasn't crazy about like his insertion into the past.
exactly.
The character has so much potential, and I would be excited about that potential.
Exactly. And
But
now
I'm
that,
not.
and without it, you see it for what it is, which is a sham.
Yeah.
There's actually one more. Speaking of shams, there's one more plot that we haven't even covered yet.
ShamWow.
ShamWow.
ShamWow guy's in this episode, and he has a big towel.
And it can wipe it all up.
Have you ever? I had a ShamWow.
My family has had many ShamWows.
They're bad.
They're not good.
They are not the product that he uses in the commercial.
No, they're not.
He's using this foam fucking thing, and then they're just like a weird towel.
Yeah, it's just a shitty like it's a rag. I've
It's
got
a
better.
rag.
I've got like clothes with holes in them that I could tear up and make better ShamWows out of.
Exactly. All right.
Let's talk about this last thing, because this is the real. To me, this is the real
OxyClean.
OxyClean.
Sorry.
Slap Chop. That's the
Slap
other thing
Chop.
That
was his number 2.
His number 2. There's another plot with a bunch of characters that don't really matter at all. Where they're in the we didn't even fucking talk about anything about Locke or Ben or any of that.
Yeah.
That's the whole
yeah.
thing.
That stuff sucks.
it's-
All they do is walk on rocks and talk about how they're gonna kill Jacob.
That's exactly it. Their plan is to kill Jacob, and Locke mostly spends it bullying Ben into killing Jacob.
Yeah.
And there's one really good scene towards the end of it all where Ben is like, "Why the heck me? Gosh." And Locke basically lays it out. He says, like, "You've been devoted to Jacob your whole damn life, and for your reward was you got cancer, your daughter died, and you got banished from the damn ass island. So why the heck shouldn't you kill Jacob?" And if you think of it,
Fair.
it's like, oh, when you lay out this whole series of Ben's arc like that in such a succinct way, it almost feels like you guys kind of had a plan for this thing all along, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It makes a decent case.
Yeah.
But most of
I
it
don't
is
think that.
no. It again, it's potential energy. Like it tricks you into
Yeah.
thinking like, oh shit, they actually kind of
But
they're
it
going
is-
somewhere with this.
That was a good. That was
Yeah.
a scene with like emotion and
Yeah.
where the emotion made sense and it could
Mhm.
drive the story forward and it contributed to
Mhm.
like characters'
Yes.
desires and their future actions.
Exactly. And Locke and Ben are anytime you get those two in a room together, it's awesome. Obviously, they're good at acting, even if the dialogue is not great. And it's also worth noting that the Ben we see here is a completely different Ben than the one we're used to.
Yeah.
This Ben is not in control. He is broken, defeated, and he is sassy too.
Yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
And that's interesting and I do like that part.
I do. What I'll say about it is I don't hate it. What I do hate is the other part of the present day story, which is so Locke and them are on their way. They're trekking across the island to go kill Jacob, I guess. I kind of really forget the whole context around that. Because for me, the meat and potatoes of season 5 is all this shit in the past. Because it's so bananas. They take every possible opportunity to just go like insane with it, and I adore it. I mean, I don't. To clarify, I don't think it's good, but I think it's a lot of fun.
And it's like at past season 4, the way that you enjoy Lost changes.
Exactly.
You have to find pleasure in the fact that they were attempting to do something.
Exactly. And in season 5, you get a sense of you get the greatest sense that they were really swinging for something like
Yeah.
insane. Even though in retrospect it's clearly just like, what's an easy way to build world? Just send them back in time. That's an easy way to learn what happened in the past. If everyone's just in the past, duh. But they also take the opportunity to be like, what if Saeed had wanted to shoot Ben as a kid and just be insane like that and stuff. It's a wild journey, and it's definitely my favorite season out of the last 3, I think.
That makes sense. Season 4. What was the season that was flashed sideways?
That was
alternate.
No, that was
universes.
the first time we flashed forward.
We flashed forward.
That was the first time because it's like everyone's off the island, but how did they get off the island? And so we learned that. And
But which one was like Sawyer as a cop?
that's season 6.
That's season
that's
6.
the final
Okay,
season.
that was bad.
Yeah, season 6 is bad. The bad plot on the island is
Oh yeah,
a
that
bunch of-
sucked.
just a-
I don't even care.
it doesn't really matter. I just want to mention that there's
Yeah.
a bunch of characters that we've never seen before, and they don't matter.
we
And
don't see them again later. I
they're
assume.
carrying a box through the jungle, and they go up to a cabin and they burn it. And then the pilot is there. Frank, the pilot, is there, and he's wearing a pilot uniform, and he's going, "Well, isn't this crazy?" And that's pretty much it.
That's the whole
That's the whole
storyline. It
bit.
sucked.
It's
That
not,
one really sucked.
It's not at all compelling, and it's very boring, and everybody talks in like cryptic nothings as always.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe this show. Cryptic
Yeah,
nothing.
it's a real cryptic nothing, and I buy a cryptic nothing coming out of Locke's mouth because I've been watching him for seasons.
Yeah.
Ben's mouth because I've been watching him for
Yeah.
seasons. Any of these characters that are tied to this world, these guys are not. They're just
Also,
there.
these characters feel so second rate.
Yeah.
It just like they all sort of scream like TV movie at
it's
best.
very
style
on
character.
par with the Nerd Crew that we saw in the
Yeah.
in the,
Yeah,
in the other
exactly.
episode.
They just suck.
There's one thing. There's 2 things I wanted to mention. There, when they approach the cabin,
Yeah.
there's a circle of ash around it, but it is broken. And one of the guys delivers a line in a really weird way that always stuck with me for some reason. He says, "Look at the ash! Look at the ash!"
Look at the ash.
As if that's anything that means anything.
Yeah. That was it. That was true. I let that fly by me, but that was
It's insane.
oh it's
Sure, you know,
awful.
the ash.
Look
And then
at the ash.
and then they go to the cabin, and then they got to burn the cabin. Who fucking cares? The
I
point
like how too when they get to the cabin
Yeah.
and then the lady goes in and she's like, "He's not here. He hasn't been here for a long time." And
Yep.
it's like, what have you been doing for the past
do you-
longest
what are you
time?
are you? Can you just explain yourself? Of
You
course
don't even have
can't.
any clue where the person is that you're looking for. Clearly, they left like months ago and you were
Yeah.
unaware.
Yep.
So why are we watching you just not be able to do what you're trying to do? Like, this
Yeah.
fucking sucks.
The time
And
would have been spent better elsewhere for sure.
do you
But
think just a writer was really attached to the sentence, "Look at the ash"?
I think they really were. They just wanted to work it in. It was a bet that they could work it in by the end of the season, and they found it. And the other thing about it is they don't just burn this cabin down; they Molotov it, and it's in the middle of it like a thick jungle.
There's a tree right over
The
it.
tree right over it. It's like billowing flames, and Frank is there, and he's like, this is probably gonna start a huge forest fire. I think no one acknowledges him, and they just leave.
They leave, and I assume it won't start a huge forest fire in the.
No, it won't.
No, it
Of course,
doesn't.
it won't.
But
'Cause
you
Frank said
watch
it
it,
wouldn't.
and you think
That's a
it is
fire.
literally burning on a tree right
Yes, that is absolutely going to catch fire, and it just doesn't. That's the episode. That's our first episode of season 5, and we learned some stuff.
now. Yeah.
How do you feel about the gang going back in time? How do you feel
I'm
about?
down to watch more of that. I like that.
I
I think that's cool. Well, what is really interesting about that is that the Dharma Initiative is there.
Yes,
And that is interesting. That has intrigued me
absolutely.
since, I guess, early season 2 is when
Mhm.
they introduced that.
It's as far as silly ass ways of revealing more about the Dharma Initiative goes. I kind of like it a lot.
That's a fun one.
it's a
yeah.
fun one.
Yeah, and it's like I like a back in time storyline a lot more than I like a heaven or hell storyline.
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
It's so I'm down with that. That and it I think I could enjoy some of season 5 and think it's
Yes.
fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess what I really hate is just what they build up to in season 6 and what they're building up to here with the Jacob bullshit.
I
and
agree.
Just
A lot of the present day stuff in season 5 is that it's putting the pieces in place for season 6. And it definitely doesn't hold up very well. It definitely drags down the show a lot, even though you have Lock Across Ben, and that definitely mostly is still pretty killer.
Yeah.
Like you still have a sense of Ben as a character and Locke as a character. It's also worth noting that at this point Locke is inhabited by the smoke monster.
Oh yeah, that's pretty important actually.
It's pretty important, but the audience doesn't actually know this.
Oh really?
The audience
it's not as important as I thought it was.
Exactly. It's yeah, it's really weird.
This is so funny because I'm just thinking about people listening to this.
Yeah, you know the television show Lost? You know the show where they spend an episode navigating a hydrogen bomb, and then one of them gets shot because he shot the child of... He shot their child, but then that child goes on and grows up to murder God.
Oh my... Fuck. It is... Yeah.
You know, Lost, the show about the plane crash on an island.
It's so fun to sit through and explain what we just witnessed.
It's really something, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's what I'll say.
You have to put it to words to understand how truly fucked up this show got. Like, I don't know why this had to happen. It didn't have to happen.
It didn't have to happen, and it definitely didn't have to happen this way.
Yeah.
What I'll say about season 5 is, remember how in season 6 Saeed comes back from the dead and who cares?
Yes.
Here it feels like the fact that they are carrying a nuclear bomb is insane and completely bananas, but everybody treats it that way. Everybody is like, this is insane. Everybody on Jack's side is like, has a bananas resolve.
Yeah.
And everybody on the opposite side is completely like, you cannot, of course you can't do this. Of course
and
you
they're
cannot
all like,
do this.
yeah, that's true. And there is just a tension. Everyone's on edge. They're all acting very erratic. Like the characters are clearly under duress, and their actions like represent that. They're not being completely logical and stuff, and that is interesting.
It's not. It is definitely. There's a lot of moments where it's like, oh, that's pretty silly. This is gonna be a silly thing, but but
like
it feels. Go on.
Well, just like with the Jack unloading a clip on like a bunch of innocent people. Absolutely fucking bananas. But then at the same time, whenever you consider, he's fucking.
He's already
carrying
all
around a nuke.
He's already all in on blowing up an island. Why wouldn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So it is cool to just watch the characters be put in a situation and then respond really crazily.
Exactly. It's a much more fun season than what is to come. In
with
general.
the Saeed thing. Where are you getting at with like Saeed coming back to life and like no one's like, this is I know we've seen some insane shit, but you're back from the dead, which we've never seen before. How can this be? But everyone's just like, hey, you're good, cool. Hey, sup?
Hey, and then like when like Buddy's like, you gotta feed him this pill. Jack's just like, well, what do you mean feed him a pill? Instead of being like, are you kidding me? What are you talking about? A pill? You brought him back from the dead. You gotta, like, what is happening? Like, people, like, I feel like when you go after going through season 5 where you blow up an island or something, you have to like come back from that and be like on another level of like insane. You have to just be like you can't come back from that and just be like, well, I guess we're just, people are coming back from the dead.
That's
I guess God and the devil are here.
Like, we watched season 6 recently, and there was no tension.
There was no tension at all. It was just
and they were like, yeah, Saeed was back from the dead. They were being held captive in this mysterious temple that didn't exist before, and there was no tension.
Yeah, it's very like, I don't know. It's a lot. My wish for season 6 is that it was as bananas, if not more, as season 5.
Uh-huh.
I wish it was like full tilt, like Crazy Town.
I think that's a good point. I think that would have been a much more interesting scenario.
Instead of just like this weird. Anyways, we can. This isn't a season 6 episode. This is a season 5 episode.
Holy shit! This is a season 5 episode, not a season 6 episode.
Yeah, not a season 6. We don't have to talk about season. We don't have to worry about season 6.
True.
We're watching a season 5 episode.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Anyways, that's our first season 5 episode. I liked it.
I thought it was okay.
I thought it was perfectly fine. There was definitely some stuff about it that I didn't like though.
Uh-huh.
But overall, fine.
I thought it was fine. It wasn't one of the worst episodes we've watched.
Yes.
It was bottom half. I
For
would
sure.
say.
For sure.
But
Some great moments. For sure.
there were some good moments, and I didn't resent a lot of things that happened in the episode. I more resented what they were setting up.
Yes.
I resent Jacob as a character because I think he is the disappointing conclusion that this show takes on, so I just hate him.
Yes, absolutely. And I appreciate being able to watch this episode knowing what it becomes and being like, okay, here's what I like about it. I like the crazy time travel stuff. All the stuff setting up in the future is nothing.
Uh-huh.
It was nothing when I watched it the first time, and it's still nothing.
Uh-huh.
It didn't stop being nothing. Actually, at the time, I remember being like, what is this? What is this all leading to for everything? And it didn't lead to anything, so I know. And now, I know. And we go on this experiment so that we can know.
This shit's fucking crazy.
Shit's fucking crazy. About Lost, it's crazy. I think that about wraps it up, don't you?
That about wraps it up, I think.
All
That was a wild episode.
It's a wild episode with a lot to unpack because it was our first episode of season 5.
Yeah, let's do another one next week.
Yeah, let's do another one. Well, if it was up to us, we would do it. Hey, here's an idea.
Yeah.
My friend suggested this to us, which is that we roll for the next episode now.
Let's do it.
So that our viewers can know what we're going to watch next week.
Let's do it. So
Let's
you
do
can watch it with us.
If you'd like to, you can
and
watch
we'll
along.
all watch it together.
Exactly. I think that would probably be more communal experience. So I'm going to roll 1 to 120. I pulled 78.
78.
78.
Where are we talking? Season 4?
Seems like it might be season 4, I think. Maybe
I'm
even late
thinking
season 3.
the first 10 episodes of season 4.
I'm thinking season 4. I hope it's not an episode we've already watched, because then
We would have to do it
we would have to
again.
do this all over again, and I'd have to keep stalling. All right. What was the number I rolled? 74?
I think it was 78.
78, eh?
It
was 78. You're right. Confirmed.
Perfect. I think it was all the season 4 talk that confused
Yes,
you.
exactly. Yes. 78 is indeed season 4.
Yeah.
And it is an episode we've already watched, sadly. It's The Other Woman. So we're re-rolling. We're stalling again. 70.
70.
Which I
That's
think
late
is
season
that is
3?
late season 3.
Okay, I could do that. That'd probably be a good episode.
We're watching season 3, episode 21, and the title of this episode is Greatest Hits.
No way.
Yeah, way.
Is this a Charlie episode?
You nailed it, my dude. It is
that
a Charlie
sounds
episode.
like the name of a
It
Charlie
is a Charlie
episode.
episode, and if memory serves, it's my favorite Charlie episode.
Fuck yes. I can't wait.
All right.
We're going to watch a good episode of Lost.
I love good episodes of Lost. Get ready for a good episode of Lost, and see you next week. Thanks for listening. This has been Island Shuffle. I've been Bean.
I've been James.
And keep on watching.
Getting
Getting
lost.